Try searching this up on YouTube. How I got a 1500 on the SAT. If you search this up, you will find many videos from a lot of different YouTubers talking about how they got a 1500 plus, a 1550 plus, even 1600s on the SAT, usually in a very, very short period of time. Like so short that's even surprising how they even did it. And if you watch this video, you may think to yourself that this is going to be the best possible advice on how to actually improve your SAT score. But what you're probably going to discover is that pretty much all that is said in these videos is do a ton of practice, both practice problems and then also stuff like practice tests, and then also just use a mistake tracker. Really, this is almost the only thing I see talked about in these videos. And so if you watch them, you may just think to yourself, okay, well, I'm already doing practice. I'm already using mistake tracker. Why is my score not getting to a 1500 plus? So in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what is going on here, the exact reason why it feels like everybody is improving their SAT score except you, and also how to actually fix this heading into your next test. If you want to know why you should trust me, I've personally gotten a 1550 super score in the SAT myself as well. I've also helped hundreds of people improve their SAT scores before, and my goal is to make the channel you're watching right now the best SAT YouTube channel. Okay, moving on to this stuff. So you probably have also seen stuff like this on r/SAT. You might have just asked your friends what SAT score have you got, and they were like, oh, I got 1550, and then you ask them how they did it, and they're just like, I don't even know. And so it's just really frustrating. Like, it feels like everybody's improving their SAT score except for you. But the truth is, this can almost always be explained by this graph over here. This is your age, and then this is the amount of knowledge, let's say knowledge about the SAT specifically, that you have at that age. You see, for you, the way your life probably went is like you started out with a very small amount of knowledge. Obviously, like you start out at a very low level when you first are born, and then gradually you gain more and more and more. And now you're sitting here, maybe 15, 16 years old, you're about to take the SAT, and you're feeling like you're okay, but there's still a lot of stuff here that you're missing. You see, these people who get these unbelievably high SAT scores, I'm willing to guess that a lot of times their knowledge graphs look a bit more like this. Yes, they started out at 0, but then they got a ton of stuff back when they're, 5 through 15 years old. And so now that they're like 15, 16, 17, they can kind of just relax. They can kind of just coast because they already have gained all of the knowledge, all the skills over time. And the truth is, this really is not that surprising. It's not that weird. Because, imagine this. Imagine if you're a student who took, a very, very hard math class when you're, in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Imagine if you're a student who was, reading very complex novels at, the age of 5 or 6, like Harry Potter level stuff. Imagine if you're a student who just, did, intellectual, you could say, activities like debate and stuff like that. All these kinds of different things are going to train you to be able to do better on the SAT. And if you do this, this is going to greatly increase your knowledge stats, but earlier on in your life. And so you're looking at people just by the stuff they're doing here in this last 15 through 17-year-old range. But the truth is, a lot of times they got it way before then, so they don't even need it in that 15 through 17-year-old range. I had a student that I knew in high school who was exactly like this. He seemed like an ultra unmotivated student. He would literally be playing video games during class. He would never do his homework on time. He would be cramming for tests the night before because he didn't study at all before then. And it would just be kind of crazy. How could this guy actually end up doing well? But he literally ended up getting over 1550 on the SAT. He is currently in an Ivy League school. He was unbelievably amazing in the end. And so I'm willing to guess that the truth was he just had all this skill built up, either because his parents made him, because he just wanted to, because he was disciplined, whatever. And so by the time he was in 11th and 12th grade, it didn't really matter anymore. He already had everything he needed. At least for the most part, he just had to use what he had built up at that point. And if you want an example of what this can look like, here's some of the different skills that are needed to do well in the SAT. In order to do well in the SAT, you need to be good with Desmos. Some of those math questions really involve a good Desmos skill. Now, but some of you might have literally had Desmos in some of your math classes growing up. I literally had Desmos myself back in a class when I was in 11th grade. So I was already pretty familiar with Desmos by the time I took the SAT. You need to be good at math rules, which some students just got because they took some really hard math classes. I mean, yeah, you can just be really good at math because you just know math really well. Reading comprehension. Like I said before, you might have just read complex novels when you're in 5 or 6 years old. I've met many people who were like that, who just read crazy stuff at very young ages. You need to be good at choosing choices. This could be coming from skills like debate or research that students might be participating in. Grammar rules. You might have just been someone who loves writing throughout your entire life. You might have gone in on Microsoft Word documents and been writing forever. So all these skills are stuff that could have been built up. You, since you did not do that, or assuming you did not do that, have to now build them up now. And thankfully, I have videos on each of these topics. I have this video that is recently uploaded on Desmos. I have this video on my other channel, which is about all of SAT math. I have this video over here, which is all about reading and grammar rules as well. So you can learn this stuff. You can build these skills now. And so you may be thinking that based off all of this, okay, the solution must literally just be to do more. I must just do more work in a shorter period of time, and that's the foolproof method to making sure that I definitely get a high SAT score and that I can be like these people. And that is exactly what this guy probably would tell you. If you are familiar with anything like business or making money, which I'm guessing you probably are if you're like, 15, 16, 17 years old, this is Alex Hormozi. He is pretty much the most popular, I would say, business creator on YouTube right now. He has tons of videos. He uploads on several different channels. Pretty much everybody seems to know him who cares about money or business at all. And the thing with him is that he is a big proponent of this idea of just do more. In fact, he has whole videos where it's, 20, 30-minute long videos where basically the whole thing he just says in there is do more. If you're not making enough money right now, do more work more hours. That's how you make more money. If you're not getting high enough grades right now, study more things, do more practice problems, read more books. And one area where he does definitely believe this is with stuff like the SAT and standardized tests. You may not know this, but Alex Hormozi actually was considering going into the SAT prep niche when he was first starting a business. He ended up choosing to do a gym business instead, which probably, makes sense considering what he looks like. But he was considering going into the SAT prep business. So in an alternate universe, he could have been the SAT YouTube creator you're watching right now instead. And the reason why he was so confident with this is because he believes that he has a foolproof method for standardized tests, which is that you just need to do more. Do as many practice problems as you possibly can. He has this short on YouTube where he talks about how he prepared for the GMAT, which is this business school exam that you have to take to get into business school. And the way he said he studied for it is he just did 4 hours a day of practice problems over the span of 4 months. And that is how he said he got, one of the highest GMAT scores possible. I even actually went ahead and posted that short in my SAT Skool community, and all these people who are all SAT students told me, yeah, they kind of agree with that. Like, it makes sense to them, even despite the fact that they probably are struggling with the SAT themselves. They agree if they just did more problems, they probably would be doing better. But you see, there's a very big flaw with this. If your goal is just to do so much here that you make up for everything the students did before now, that is going to be a very, very losing proposition, I'll just tell you. Because you got to think about it here. 0 through 15, 16, 17 years old. How much practice, how much time do you think could have been dedicated in these 15 years? I mean, if you're a student who's been locking in, imagine how much time they probably have put into building all these different skills, into learning Desmos, into reading novels, into learning grammar, all this different stuff. It's basically impossible to try to catch up with this right now because there's just way too much in way too short a period of time. And even with what Hormozi said of 4 hours in 4 months, I'm guessing a lot of you probably don't even have that amount of time. This is a guy who probably did not have anything else to do in the day besides studying for the GMAT. He probably had already graduated college, or at the very least he structured his day where he had lots of time. You guys have school. You guys have extracurricular activities. You probably don't have this amount of time. And so we can't just rely on doing more. That alone is not the solution. What I believe to instead be the solution is this idea of doing more plus doing good. Here's the way you can think about this. Yes, I agree with the idea that you should try to do as much practice problems as possible. You should try to put as much work in as you can. And that is naturally going to lead to many of you having a much better result than most. But you see, this doesn't matter at all if it is not combined with a very high level of quality as well. And when I say quality, what I really mean that is quality in reviewing your mistakes. If you are just doing a million different SAT practice problems and you're never looking at the problems you get wrong, if you're even are looking at them but just thinking about them in a very basic abstract sense, like, okay, I must have missed something in this problem, something like that, you're never going to improve. You can think of it kind of like any kind of skill in life. You can think of it like tying a tie. If you are very bad at tying a tie and you just tie it badly every single time, again and again, badly, terribly, every single time looks like an absolute mess, you are never going to get actually good at tying a tie. Even if you do it literally a million times, you're still going to be very bad at it at the end of the day. The only way you get better at tying a tie is if you make sure you do it a ton of times, but also that you're doing it well each time. Make sure you actually make it look like a tie every single time you tie it. And so this is how you should view mistake tracking. When you get a problem wrong out of the hundreds of practice problems you're doing, your job is not just to look at why it is wrong and try to understand it in a basic sense. Your job is to do a ton of practice on that specific thing, so you really eliminate this as being any kind of weakness for you. You see, I'm willing to guess almost no student is doing this because this is tedious, this is boring, this doesn't feel as productive as just doing a million practice problems. But the truth is, this is way better. Say you get a problem like this wrong. This is a simple problem. Probably most of you are not getting this type of problem wrong. But let's say you do. What you can just do is put this into Claude and have it generate for you 5 additional practice problems. And so if you miss this one, hopefully now you'll know what to do and you can get all of these correct, or at least the vast majority of them correct. Now, let me ask you, do you think you're still going to be getting this type of problem wrong if you get all of these correct, even if you miss the original one? Probably not. You're probably going to be pretty good at it at that point. And so if you see another similar problem, you'll just remember, okay, let me just do the exact same thing I did with these 5 problems. You will have eliminated the mistake and you'll be good at it the next time you see it. And this is what you should try doing every single time you miss a problem. Do as many problems as you can, but also make the review process as good as you possibly can. Make it as likely to actually get to the root cause of what you're doing wrong and fix it. Almost every single student I talk to is doing this part well, doing more well, but they're completely missing this part. And let me show you another graph as well. This still is not going to be a overnight solution because there are so many different problem types on the SAT. There's many different math problem types. There are many different reading problem types. It's impossible to just do one problem type and guarantee you're going to see that exact same thing on the next SAT. So your improvement here is not going to be a linear thing. It's not like you're going to do 5 problems and then you're going to suddenly be 5 more better than you were before. It's going to be a bit more like this. At first, you're just doing some practice and you're reviewing them and you're trying to make a lot of progress, but you're only seeing these problems that maybe appear occasionally on the SAT. You're not seeing problems that appear all the time. And so the odds of you seeing that exact same problem type again is pretty low. And it keeps being pretty low again and again and again until eventually you get to the point where you've done review on a lot of different problem types. Now, eventually you start getting to the point where you're just seeing problems again and again that you've already done versions of, and now you're just getting better and better and better. This is pretty much exactly what happens for almost every single one of my students who actually improves. Yes, they start out at a very difficult place. Things are not really clicking when they first start out because they're not seeing the same problem types they're missing. But eventually they get better and better and better. They see more and more problem types. And then eventually they get to the point where now they are seeing unbelievable improvement. And it feels like, oh my gosh, how am I improving this quickly? Because I know everything now. So you have to accept, yes, you are at a disadvantage. You don't have the skill that people built up. But now your job is to do more and do better. Do as much as you can to try to catch up in as much as you can, but then make sure you also are making those reps as good as possible so it actually does yield improvement. You're not just doing the same problem wrong again and again. You can go ahead and comment below what kind of video you want to see next from me, what kind of topic on the SAT you want me to cover next. I'm willing to do anything you guys suggest in the comment section below. But I hope this helped. Good luck on the SAT and make sure to always stay Gucci.